could. And if you want that, we'll get it for you. Nova, we have on the real campus, we have a forest that students would go out and do a ecology activity and measuring number of trees of different species and stuff. Well, that's difficult to do in a night lab. It's difficult to do on a rainy day. There are lots of ticks in the forest, so we put it in a Second Life. Just created the exact same lab, but in Second Life without any of the limitations that we had in the real world. We have two biodiversity activities. This is a flatworm moving around in a petri dish. You can buy most of these organisms in Second Life, so I didn't build the organisms, I bought them. And we put, so the students would go, they get a note card by clicking on that orange sign behind there, give them a lot of information about the animal or the plant, and then they would put it into the appropriate phylum. The phylum for one of the phylum for the animal kingdom or the phylums for the plant kingdom. And so this is an activity that I was able to build, and it's at Nova still. We needed a little help on this because there's some plant phyla that you cannot buy in Second Life. So hornworts and liverworts, 2 phyla of plants, there are 10 plant phyla. I had to get someone to build those for me, but otherwise I was able to create this activity at Nova. We have an art gallery. In fact, we put the second floor of the building into a student art gallery. This is the professor there. She brings her student art in. I've taught her how to put the textures onto these prims. And sometimes I have to go in and do some fine tuning on to make it fit nicely. But by and large, she can do it on her own now. And the students is an online class, so the students never see each other, but they can come into here in Nova region and look at this gallery and see the other student art that they're looking at. And the last thing that I put in here was a poster session area where students actually make a poster. They're graded on the aesthetics, the layout of the poster, as well as the content. And this is good preparation for their senior year or maybe a graduate studies where they go to a conference, they'd actually do a poster. So they've actually done a poster here and learned how that works. So those are the 6 things I did. So we have 16 gifted to us, 6 that I did, that's 22. We still have for 27. Things changed. Mesh came into the world, and so I don't build in Mesh. And I don't do scripting very well. I buy scripts and put them into things, but I don't code. So when we wanted to do some working with Mesh and building some activities there, Nova has a foundation that gives grants out every year up to $3,000. And I just put in a proposal for $3,000 for builds on the Second Life region and that Nova has. And they funded it. So I had $3,000 to play with. I hired a builder. Now, these are not builders that I don't know. These are people I've been working with and knowing through networking for several years and done things with. And I know they are good builders and I trust them. And they came in. This is the Kaib wall of the Grand Canyon, 11 different strata there. This was put in. It's in mesh. It saves a whole lot of prims when you put things in mesh as opposed to just the standard prims. And so, you know, we built this, and students walk down this staircase down the wall, look at all 11 of those strata, get information on the geology and the fossils of that. So that was one that was built for us. We built 2 models. One's a brain and one's a motor neuron. The brain was requested by a psychology professor, and it's there, it's great. This is the motor neuron, which we cover pretty much. Some of our basic biology classes, students could go in, they would get a table that had the names of the parts of the motor neuron, and they would put the number next to the name, to the correct part. And so they could work that out. Now, none of these had scripting. This builder that I was using at this time did not do scripting, but she was a good builder. She could put things together. She could make this molecule here. And my job was to make sure the science is right. Their job was to make sure that the building worked well. So we had another grant go into the foundation, another $3,000. I hired another builder who's a scripter, and she built, this is the plant science, and we didn't really have a good plant science activity there. So we had we needed to do something more with plant science. So we put this in, and lots of things move around here. You can watch water go from the soil into a root, up the xylem to a leaf and evaporate. You can watch the, on top of that flower, there's a pollen grain, and the pollen tube's coming down. That pollen tube will grow down the style there. And a generated cell comes down, divides into two sperm that move down there, double fertilization in plants. This is all moving. This is very well scripted. It's an amazing build. It really is. And the other thing we have, well, the first builder, she redid the big building we have there and in mesh, and we reduced those prims by half. So we saved a whole lot of prims there. And she built a medical clinic. There are no activities in there, though, at that time. But now the second builder put in an activity in the medical clinic, and this is a cardiopulmonary activity. Students come in, you can see those numbers 1, 2, 3. When they click on that, each of those is a different medical scenario, medical problem. When they click on that, they get a HUD. With that HUD, they either, a note card, the handouts tell them, directed them through all this. They either go on the exercise bike or the treadmill. A bunch of wires get hooked up to their chest. And as they're exercising, you can see that board off to the left there on the wall. All these numbers appear on there, and graphs and things are moving across that. That's all scripted by this builder. And from that, when they finish, it's a 10-minute exercise. They actually get that as a texture given to them. And from that, they're able to tell what the medical issue was. So, oops, that's not me. So we have these 27 activities there. I built 6, 16 were given to us, and 5 I've worked with really good builders to put together. And that's how we get it. And so what I'm wanting to present to you here is, how do we do this? How do we make this? Now, if you're want to know some more basics, like how do we I'm trying to copy something here as I did talk, but how are we going to do each one of these builds? There's quite a process that goes into the first time I want to put this build together. How do you do that? And what do you, how's that all that going to work for you? You want to, that's quite a process. And I could talk for an hour about that for every build we do there. It's quite, working your way through that is quite a process. So what we do, they have a virtual worlds, we have a virtual worlds teaching manual, and I'm trying to get that. I'll put this up a little bit later, maybe on chat, but you can go in there and look at that. And it talks about how you build an individual thing, the process you go through. Also, I'm going to put up the slur for Nova. It's open. Come visit it. I've had people in VWEC go there, and almost every one of these activities has an orange sign there. You click on that, you get the student handout as a note card, and you can work your way through it. So I'm going to stop there and move on. We can move on to the next person. Taking questions at the end.
Okay, thank you, Dodge. Thank you so much. These are all so informative presentations. Now we will go to student experiences, and Zinnia is going to speak on behalf of one of the students who could not make it, and tell us what she has been doing. This is Raeautumnwolfe I'm talking about. So Zinnia, it's all yours.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to be passing a note card after I speak that will have a lot of the information that you may be trying to grab. So I'm here to represent Ray, and Ray is a former multimedia communication student of mine at Peninsula College. She was also an honors student who worked on a special capstone project in Second Life and is currently one of our college tutors. She's an excellent example of a student that has encouraged others to do more by working in virtual worlds. Building and creating a welcoming space has inspired many students beyond her. My students build interactive and engaging spaces to learn about themselves and the hero's journey that the college student experiences. Ray has had the opportunity to work and create in several virtual platforms, and Second Life is her favorite. As a student, she opened her classmates' eyes to how video games taught her many skills and life lessons. She was perfect for working in virtual worlds and building teams across the country. So my college is in Washington State, and she lives on the East Coast in Pennsylvania. Ray used imagination and the magic of playful problem solving to tackle assignments. She explored avatar formation in my classes, and she found that taking the form of a wolf was an excellent personal branding with her last name, and it created comfort to those who encountered her in world. This goal of care and comfort led her to her Multimedia Communications Honor Project. The Reflection Pond was the name of her project and the location in Second Life on our digital storytelling sim. I think some of you have actually had a chance to visit the Reflection Pond in several of the presentations that my students have done for different organizations, and we're really grateful that you visited them. Later, you can watch her video about her project, and this link will be in the note card that I passed to you. Her goal was to create a peaceful, welcoming space where people can connect and have a sense of belonging. Ray would devise her virtual build goals and give me a shopping list. It was lots of fun because we both loved doing this together, and yet she was the one who did all the curation and suggesting and built some of her own objects to make it happen. She wanted to build a place that was much like her grandmother's backyard. It was filled with animals, plants, trees, and a calming pond with the peaceful nature sounds. Her project inspires future Peninsula College students to learn through building. When we were working on a project this quarter, several of the students all went to the pond and said, "Can we work here?" And we decided we were going to build a brand new spot that is inspired by the Reflecting Pond. The experience of building is empowering and filled with opportunities to teach others through the process. My courses often require exploration of social enterprise and to be in service with others. Ray's work is a shiny example of this goal by creating a space that welcomes people to connect and to support each other. And you will also get this link in the note card where you can visit at any time. So through this work, Ray presented at the Virtual Worlds Best Practices in Education this past March about how learning in virtual worlds help tackle issues with perfectionism. How many of you guys had a chance to see Ray in action? Yay! Excellent. Yay! Not only did she do a great presentation, but she inspired many students to want to do their own now. So she is an excellent cheerleader to make things happen. This was a topic that she experienced as a student and now as one of our multimedia tutors dealing with perfectionism. I often tell my students, let's focus on idealism, not perfectionism. And you can see her presentation at this link again. It'll be in the note card. Please watch it later and let us know what your thoughts are about that. She shared how Second Life became a safe space. Working and building in virtual spaces gave students freedom to make mistakes and to support each other. Practice instead of perfection became a way to research a teaching method and to change habits of self-doubt. Ray is happy to share her work and how her experience of making led to more learning and teaching. Her leadership continues to encourage all who meet her and experience her beautiful virtual space to inspire courage. I am grateful for Ray's work and the opportunity to express how proud I am of her. And will also be able to explore Ray's portfolio, and this is also in the note card. And I want to say thank you very much. If you haven't had a chance to visit Ray's build, this is a really great example of how a student's mind is changed by the process of building in a virtual space, and how much she wanted to share with others along the way. And now she gets to teach too. Thank you, and I'll pass you the note card.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So interesting and so helpful. Our final speaker of the day is Shandra Lee. Shandra Lee Hardesty. And I will turn the mic over to you, Shandra.
All right, I had to get that note card first. Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Hardesty, and I go by Shandra. I have a master's in organizational learning and instructional technology and a doctorate in organization, information, and learning sciences from the University of New Mexico. I've worked in higher education administration for over 20 years, and I'm excited to be here today to talk about my experiences with active learning and Second Life. So I'm going to share the seminal definition of active learning as a reference point. So Charles Bonwell and James Eason said, active learning is anything that involves students in doing things and thinking about the things they are doing. So since 1991, there's a lot of active learning going on in classrooms. And the definition looks deceptively easy to accomplish. You think, I'll engage my learners with activities that help them critically reflect on the course material, but what activities do I use? So this is a brainstorming image that I created. It came from a Queen's University Teaching and Learning module and the University of Minnesota Center for Educational Innovation. And it's just a quick overview of types of active learning strategies that can be developed for a class. Looks great. It's a list to engage learners. However, when I wrote this list, I noticed that they all applied to face-to-face classrooms. So now that I have all these great ideas, how do I implement them in a virtual world? So through building in a virtual environment, you can bring these strategies to life. And so here's my example of being a student and how I experienced active learning in Second Life. I took Ellie's class through the University of New Mexico in 2013. It's been a while. And I bet she didn't know that I still have her syllabus. She taught an educational technology course about how to connect the transfer of learning at a distance, which is critical to the development of course materials for online learning. So I've highlighted the active learning components that I identified with that came out of her syllabus. Understanding the tool and what it is capable of helps meet an online course's learning objectives. So active engagement in activities like these empower students to create their own learning experiences, and it sure did me. So for this example, and from the perspective of Second Life as a learning environment, first you need an introduction to a new learning platform. So step one was avatar creation, and we did scavenger hunts because you have to learn basic how to move around and teleport, the environment, get familiar with the environment. And after the basics comes the realization that there are other real people here in Second Life, and you can talk to them, and they'll respond to you. So back in 2013, this was really novel. My very first experience with that was I went to, I think it's still even here, I'm forgetting the name of the bar, and I remember this was the assignment, was to talk to somebody randomly, ask them questions, and put it in the interview. And it worked. I was so excited. I was excited that there were people here and they were willing to talk to me, all those little green dots. So making the connections from the real life to the Second Life from a student perspective, I feel is important. It makes the virtual in-world experience real for the students. Collaboration with people in Second Life builds the sense of social presence when avatars are present with each other. And together, that awareness has the potential to transfer to other present students, just like it would in a face-to-face class. So during the class in Second Life, we learned about machinima, we learned about storytelling, we learned about role play, we developed a project and built it to teach someone something else in Second Life. And then we reflected on this experience in the end and what part of the building experience worked or didn't work. So if you go to YouTube, my videos from 2013 are there from this class. And one of our projects was to develop a think book where we would highlight what we learned on our scavengers hunts, who we interviewed, and what they talked about with us. And students had problems with the think book. So my first video I created was how to upload textures into your think book. This helped me on how to learn how to make the video for the group project. So my second video is the collaborative project we designed, and our topic was New Mexico landscape and a cactus museum. And we built almost all of it with prims, except for a couple of the cactus that I found free, and we learned how to use Sculpties. So when connecting technology and education from an instructional design point of view, it's important to consider the affordances the technology offers and build experiences that align with what's available. So my images here are examples of activities that I've taken part of in Second Life, and they represent active learning strategies. So yes, I'm an advocate for teaching in virtual worlds. It all starts with a prim. Building and creating in Second Life has helped me learn how technology can help students meet their class learning objectives. Second Life has many affordances, and you just have to learn how to bring them out. And then the student gets the idea, and then we learn how to bring it to life in 3D, just like what's happening in the student challenges. And I cannot wait to see the results. So here are my references, and thank you all for being present. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And we have just a few minutes left for questions. You can text them, and or you can speak in voice. Before we do that, let me thank the group as a whole. This has been such an informative session, and I commend you on what you're doing, and I wish you the best of good fortune as you continue to pursue your dreams here. This is what makes SL such a valuable asset to all of us, what you folks are doing as a part of your work. So, are there questions?
Yes.
Yeah, Shiloh.
This would actually be for all of the presenters, and Dodge has a heads up on it because he's the one that has often talked about creating exhibits, interactive, with feedback from students so that you would know how to develop the curriculum. Now that you've all developed projects, and that Italian, village is just amazing, okay? And I want to thank all of you for doing an excellent presentation. We've been coming up during this past year and a half, of new and innovative things like the bots that can help you out, and maybe touching something and having a pop-up come up. In a sentence or two, what do you think would be the one or two newer innovations that you would try to integrate and improve your overall exhibit or the whole sim that you work with?
Any responses? We only have a few minutes here, so feel free to respond.
I can share that my students are interested in having more integration with augmented reality in Second Life. so that they could scan specific things and images and such, and it'll show up on their phone, and that would help bridge that gap that we've had with a generation that's more focused on their phone.
Thank you, Zinnia.
And I understand that Linden Labs is just about to launch where you can go in on iPads and phones and stuff like that. That'll be a great help for our students. We definitely want to push that forward. Do handouts for that.
Anybody else?
Well, we're not going to be probably doing that much on phones and iPads, maybe iPads, but probably not phones. It's too small. But we have a number of.
Okay, I'm hearing. Am I hearing a question? I'm sorry if.
Sarah? Hello? Oh, let me rephrase that. We have a number of bots, unanimated NPCs around our little town, and they could actually all be used to tell stories if we did it right, to respond to people touching them, and they could actually give the history or explain the jobs that they do or things like that. So that would be one thing that I would think about doing, assuming I can do it within the prim count on the region.
Oh, okay, thank you. Since we are running up against the top of the hour, let me conclude with a few announcements and then invite you to go back to our reception area and continue asking questions of our guests today, our presenters. And as I said before, we want to give our participants a hearty thank you for their presentations. Please note that the next installment of the VWEC Expert Series will be on Friday, December 8th at 1 o'clock p.m. SLT. We will host a distinguished panel of experts on AI as they discuss and or debate the strengths and weaknesses of this budding technology. You will not want to miss it. There will be no presentation on November 24th because of the holiday schedule. But here's one event I really want to stress. On November 22, 9 o'clock in the morning SLT, it will be party time, a grateful gathering celebration of all the people involved in VWEC and their friends and anybody else who wants to show up. Details are posted on a nearby sign containing a note card, and I invite you to take a look at the sign and the note card. We have a special treat. The DJ will be Tori Landau, and yes, put on your dancing clothes. This is time for otherwise staid academics to let it go. Finally, you can find links to our in-world calendar and related helpful information in the material that I will add to the text here in just a moment. And we can be reached through a variety of media. Once again, please see the text insertions that I make. So on behalf of VWEC, thank you for coming today. This was a real treat for me, and I know it had to be a real treat for you. Let's continue it in the back. And let me wish you a great weekend. So thank you very much. Have a good day. And thank you, each of you,